What a better way to... What's a better way to start a stream than with the closed alpha login theme, huh? Anybody, I guess I didn't play closed alpha, so I don't know, but that's what it says here for this song, I guess, so that's probably what it is. Wait, actually, let's turn on Archeage theme. Here we go. I mean, we got Archeage 2 at some point, right? So probably going to be hearing a little bit more of this song at some point, maybe remixed in some cool ways. Oh man, that's really quiet in the background. Whatever, it's fine. It doesn't matter. Hello. It's been a few days since I streamed last. I think it was like Monday. I did a Monday stream, so that was pretty cool. Obviously, it was like a day off, so I got to do that, right? Today I'm streaming a little bit early than my regular time, so we'll see how the audience is for that. But, oh, nice. Okay, the game didn't load. All right, now it did. Great. Yeah, so we're streaming a little bit earlier than normal just because I'm going to be busy later today, and I still wanted to do something on Friday. I wanted to acknowledge the whole Archeage 2 thing. Obviously, that's been a pretty big topic. So we'll go over the interview a little bit. We'll talk about some of the historical stuff. We're not going to make too many crazy assumptions, but we can talk a little bit about where they're probably going to be leaving off with lore, how they might close out Archeage 1 eventually in lore in terms of like content and what they're going to be doing. Just some little assumptions, but nothing too crazy. I feel like there's been... I hate it because this is completely true, but there's been like so many videos put out about this whole Archeage 2 announcement, and like I've watched almost everything I could, and so much of it is just completely made up nonsense based on historical evidence of stuff. That doesn't make any sense. It's people who don't play the game anymore coming up with things, is people making bad assumptions or negative assumptions when people are just not treating this like a separate game. And so I'm not going to make those kind of things. I'm going to talk more generically. I'm not trying to just pick up my views because I make money off of YouTube or something, because I don't. I want to talk about things a little bit more straightforward and realistically. So we'll go over that a little bit in a bit, at least. The wall version of the large flag that is being used for the birthday celebration. You want to see players have access to those. Oh, these things? Yeah, that'd be nice if we could crest this kind of stuff, huh? And it's really nice because it has the Archeage logo and everything. Yeah, we should get these as an actual item. We gotta yell at people. We gotta start yelling at people to get it, to give us these. We could put them on our houses. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff like that we could actually have in our game, huh? I mean, we could have this giant cake in our game if they wanted to. They give us a giant cake, and there's like a door on it, and you can call it a home. That'd be nice. We get a cake house that isn't the dessert house, but like a new one. That'd be nice. Also, I find it funny that all these boxes have different names. This is the orange gift box. This is the green gift box. This is the red gift box. Can you tell? If I didn't hover over them, it's very obvious, right? Obviously. Look at that. It's obvious. That one's obviously orange, and this one's obviously green. So that's a little weird. I feel like that's like a texture issue that they're missing some kind of a texture overlay on top of it, I think, which is kind of funny. But whatever. Anyways, so yeah, so that's kind of like we'll talk about that at some point today when we get like more folks around. We'll address the whole Archeage 2 thing. In general, I'm pretty excited for it because I love the gameplay style of Archeage. And the combat and everything. I don't actually know how that's going to translate into Archeage 2, and I'm a little worried about it, but I'm excited because obviously, you know, Guild Wars 2 was a big deal too, right? It was a very different game from Guild Wars 1. People still play Guild Wars 1, right? Guild Wars 1 is still very popular. If you want to go even further behind, or further back in time, frickin' people still play EverQuest 1. And they still make content for that game, I mean, to this day. So, you know, We'll get into all that stuff later, but I am considering Archeage 2 as a completely different game, with a different group developing it and managing it. You know, maybe some of the same people that did Archeage 1, but my point is that it's a different game. It should not be treated the same, right? It should be... the scrutiny and everything should be very separate. So, yeah. Anyways, we'll get into that. Otherwise, today I wanted to do a bunch of arenas. I'm going to fail a whole lot. But I want to talk also a little bit about this anniversary stuff. So the anniversary event for Archeage's 6th birthday in NAEU is up right now. So you know, you have all these like things happening. You know, it's very obvious that we're celebrating something when there's a giant dinner table out in the middle of nowhere, where unfortunately it has taken up our entire dueling space of where we usually duel in Marienopel. Now there's a giant cake that sits there taunting us, and now nobody wants to come here to duel. Because why would we duel right over here when our normal spot for dueling and stuff is over there, right? Now it's like nobody comes here. There's a giant cake in the way. It's like it's great, but you know, you can't duel here anymore. So yeah, so that's happening. I've been kind of I don't think I get to take advantage of it as much. Like, the synthesis event is up, you know, the Fairy Jake thing, where you get synthesis price reductions. But I can't take advantage of it at all because everything is pretty much where I want it to be. I've started kind of upgrading my chest. Alright, that'll give me a little bit more resilience, but this isn't something that I really care that much for, and I don't think it's worth it. So I've started going for some other alternative upgrades. I'm working on some of my weapon swaps, like the Doom Shadow Nodachi from Mist Song. And I'll try to get a tier 2 library shield, because why the hell not? We're getting like 6 of those scrolls anyways every single day, and I don't need the actual red scrolls or Haram scrolls or anything, so I've went and gotten the Disciple scrolls out of them instead, right, out of these daily boxes. So I'll try to get like a tier 2 shield, why not? Maybe something else, but that's kind of like... I'm working on toys and upgrading different things to be a little bit more effective. I've started practicing by using the Nodachi a bit more often in combat, just to make sure that I know that's a thing, because it is actually quite powerful and I need to take advantage of it. And the tier 2 version is great because it lasts 6 seconds more, or 50% more of a duration, so I really do need to do this. And otherwise I need to actually complete Mist Song a little bit, so if there's somebody online that wants to go and run Mist Song, like the actual dungeon, maybe I can drag Ashan into it, and we can go and duel the hard mode, because I need to get the Tara's souls, but we'll see how that goes. So that's kind of been my agenda during this whole month of like events and stuff. For the most part. Gin Dragon, there's still people playing Guild Wars 1 with the upcoming update Guild Wars 2. Can't the locations will be accessible? I don't remember very much about the lore of Guild Wars 1 and 2. I played Guild Wars 1 a lot, but I don't remember very much out of it. But I played it for, you know, a long time, back when Guild Wars 1 like was in its early stages, actually. So, I mean, it's good. They're all different games. Everything is a very different game from one another. Guild Wars 1 is a very different game from Guild Wars 2. And yeah, so we'll talk about all that. The Nodachi makes a cool cake slicer. That's true, yeah. There's my anniversary. My link to the anniversary stuff is I'll be using it to slice a cake. Sure. I did get the cake hat, though, because we did everything. Literally in day 1, like several hours after the main... Like, after the servers came back up, we already did everything. Like, you know, including Fall of Haram. And so now I have this cool cake hat that I can use to endlessly fire fireworks into the air. Huh? Forever fireworks. This is like a really good deal. I can just fire these off whenever I want. And it makes me look like I have a cake on my head. Which is entirely true. It's a completely edible cake, absolutely. That apparently I can just swing my head around and it doesn't even fall. So that's pretty cool. You get that by completing all of the daily quests at least once, and that's the achievement for it. You'll actually see it in your achievements as well, under the event stuff here somewhere. Somewhere down here there's a thing with a cake in it. There it is. You'll see it there. I don't know if there's any hidden events from the codex. It doesn't look like there's any hidden events for the 6th anniversary stuff, so this might be the only one. But the actual rewards from the Mist Song Island, or from, you know, essentially from this event and using the coins, isn't too crazy. I'll maybe get a serendipity stone or 2 out of it, but whatever, I don't care. I got my hat, so it's fine. It's not that big of a deal. People who are, you know, who need to catch up in gear and stuff will probably use this for, like, honor vocation. Probably honor, right? And so I think that's fine. It's not the craziest thing in the world. Serendipities are pretty good for folks who are still trying to change out stats. I still have one more thing I need to change out, which is one of my earrings. So, you know, hopefully I can do that at some point. But otherwise, I mean, things have been pretty pretty chill. I think it's a pretty decent catch-up event, especially because of this daily box, which will give you a whole bunch of items. If you don't know that, these boxes that you get for the 6th anniversary gift box will give you a ton of those red Haram scrolls every day? That seems weird, but yeah, I think so. I think it's every day. Every day you can get like 300 of them. I don't know what to think about that, but it is definitely a pretty big catch-up event. And like we say, you know, catch-up events happen all the time, constantly, so this is just this one that's happening right now. And we'll probably get more later on, you know, at some point. But, you know, for those who missed out on this one. Don't forget there's the house cake decor. That's true, yeah, I put that in the history house, which I should probably show off because there's been some really good donations to the history house. And I have to kind of make mention of those because they didn't have to do anything. You know? We got some pretty good donations. Hey Gwyn, hello, hello. Carrie Potter, is there any technique to synthesizing Haram gear, like skipping grades? To synthesizing Haram gear, not really. It's very different when it comes to crafted or Erenor gear. There's a little bit of tricks and tips there. For synthesizing Haram gear, you know, honestly, I really can't think of much. The only thing I can tell you is if you're taking advantage of this event, don't go up to tier 4 Haram. First, you want to upgrade tier 3 Haram all the way to maximum because it's cheaper to upgrade tier 3 Haram. Like literally to 100%, I mean, and then get it to tier 4. Tier 4 and tier 5 Haram are exactly the same, almost in terms of stats as well, and yet we don't actually get a synthesizing bonus in this event for tier 5 Haram. So you'll probably be actually upgrading your tier 4 Haram with a 15% synthesizing cost reduction, as long as you're synthesizing in your faction hall. So it's a little weird. They have some weird rules around how the synthesis event works, but I don't think there's anything too crazy. And if somebody else, has any thoughts on synthesizing, like tips or anything for Haram, feel free to bring that up. But I don't think there's anything too crazy. Just know which grade has what bonuses, and that's the most important thing. Barabi, how hard is it for a new player to be able to get an Erenor bow? For a brand new player to get an Erenor bow. It's a lot of saving up, and I think the idea is you wouldn't go straight for an Erenor bow at this stage. You probably want to get yourself a Haram bow that's at least legendary, and then you're probably fine, honestly. At that point, if you wanted to go for an Erenor bow, you probably could. But at that point, you're probably like, I'll just stick to Haram, which is fine too. Honestly, like I right now have all this like Haram stuff and everything is done, and even I'm kind of like, maybe I should go and get an Erenor sword or something, or work on something bigger, because obviously, you know, it's got slightly higher gear caps in terms of stats and stuff at the end game, right? Which is nice, but I don't think it's anything that you need to rush too much. I'd say that you're probably good to go with Haram. If you really want an Erenor and you really want to know how hard of a time you'd have, it's technically not terrible to get the bow itself, but it's upgrading it that's a real hassle, right? It's maybe about, maybe 30 to 50,000 gold, and so that's a lot of saving up, but you could probably actually do that in a month. Like, if you really saved up and you did, like, all the dungeons every single day and you're really, really putting effort and time into it, actually, you could probably make that happen, but you're going to want to buy all the base materials, you're going to want to find people who can craft this stuff, you're going to want to find people who can craft things on the request board for you if you don't have the actual, like, proficiency for the different things. For an Erenor bow, you need somebody who actually has carpentry at, like, 180k proficiency, or something really, really high, which is very uncommon, so to find somebody to be able to do that is not easy. But it's not, I don't know, I don't think it's, I think it's plausible to have happen. It's just during which, right, if you don't have an actual bow to use, in the meantime to, like, be able to farm stuff with or whatever, it's going to be a little bit harder. Is carpentry that common? Oh, how come, Falcari? I don't know. Why is carpentry common? I actually have no idea. Oh, turning love. Yeah, true. So a lot of alts will have that. That's a great point. That's a very, very good point. A lot of alts will have carpentry. And so you'll probably find somebody who's got 180k. That's fair. I totally forgot about that. So maybe that part's not too bad. But yeah, I think in a month or two, you'd have a pretty good Erenor bow. Weaponry's a hard one. Oh, yeah. And you know how much I see weaponry stuff on the request board going up for like hundreds and hundreds of gold? And all I want to do is be like, damn, I just want to complete those, you know? But I don't even have anything for weaponry, so that's going to take a very long time to get that up. Yeah, it's definitely a harder one. That's right, Milk, sure. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one to say, Barabi. A lot of people got them early on, like back when AAU first came out, and everything was cheap across the entire board. It was a little bit easier to get access to a lot of those materials, right? Now it's going to be a little bit tougher to get access to materials. So if you do put in a ton of effort, I think you can get one. And then upgrading it up, right? Because it starts at what? Arcane Erenor, Tier 1? And you probably want to get that to about Legendary. It's not easy to do, but it is possible. You just have to attend lots of stuff and put a lot of effort into it. I think a month or two sounds reasonable, though, right? To get an Erenor bow to a competitive point? Like, I feel like that sounds reasonable. I could be wrong. But, I don't know. I would go for some stuff, especially right now during the synthesizing event. Getting a Haram gear up to at least Legendary should be a lot simpler. And especially with what we're getting out of this daily boxes that we're getting, which seems ridiculously OP. Competitive Erenor weapon is at least Mythic. Well, kind of, because Legendary... So Erenor Tier 1 is the same as Haram Tier 5, actually. So already you have an edge there against people who have Haram Tier 4 by a little slight margin. The difference between Legendary and Mythic is only 5% damage on the weapon, which translates to about 4 to 4.5% damage on the actual skills themselves. So yeah, you get that. The nicer thing about Mythic is that you get an extra gem slot, which is nice if you're a crit build, for sure. But if you're a defense penetration build, the extra gem slot's okay. It's not the most crazy thing in the universe, because you have so many other ways to get defense penetration as well. In general, Legendary is so close to Mythic and Eternal in terms of overall stats that curve off at the end game that it's not the craziest thing in the universe. You have to kind of look at the stats themselves and break it down. You really want Mythic because you could take a Tier 3, then use Alt's Diligence to try and up the temper without going back. Right. Yeah, of course, right. End game Erenor weapon and taking it up to Tier 2 and 3 is definitely the bigger goal. I think in the short term, you know, you'll still be able to perform just fine with the Legendary. In the short term, right? You can get that probably in a couple months. I think that sounds reasonable. But then there's like all these other things too. Yeah, you could trade Erenor as well, yeah. There's definitely a point to it. Those daily gift chests is 1 per account. Is it really? Oh, I don't know. I only have 1 character per account. I have 2 characters, period. I didn't even do this on my other character because I don't use it for anything. I make taxes so I don't have to pay for them on this character. You can use Diligence, but not so on Legacy. You can try to use Diligence to up to... Yeah, true, right. I see. Yeah, I think most of the talk right now is Archeage Unchained, and I could be wrong. Yeah, you can't upgrade it at Legendary, that's right. Yeah, no, my point is that, like, in the short term, you'd still be able to perform pretty well. Barabi, you'll try to get it. Not sure if you should focus on upgrading other stuff on this event. Yeah, I would say try to focus on upgrading other stuff, because, like, you're still going to need armor and everything to stay alive, right? You'll need, like, gems and things, but synthesizing right now during the event is probably a huge cost reduction, especially to those who are using Haram Tier 1 through 3. I mean, it's a massive, massive bonus, that, like, massive gold savings from this event, which is kind of nice. The gift chest gives an overtime labor pot, so the alt accounts benefit too. It is, yeah, as long as you log into your main account during the transition periods of that rank pot, which, by the way, I need to use my next one, because literally, they give you way too many. If you get 6 every day, and you get them for 12 days, you literally cannot... You can't use them all, which is nice, because if you accidentally screwed one up and it went away because you were logged out, then I guess it's okay, then you get another one, right? You get a backup. It's not too bad. I guess I'll just pop it just because, right? So they work on every place you go, or just the... No, you just have to go to the destined... Yeah, the the faction halls, I believe, and I don't know what it is for pirate, but the faction halls have the synthesis bonus, and you'll actually know because you'll have a buff under your character with the Jake Song buff, and it even says that the cost prices are reduced. And if you don't believe that, you can leave the area, get rid of the buff, and you can go back into the synthesis again. You have to reopen up the UI to see the difference every single time, and try to synthesize, and you'll be like, oh yes, the cost is doubled, or the cost is higher. Okay, so I need to go back to the other location. It's a good way to check, to make sure that you actually have that, the cost reduction. Which I still do because I'm paranoid as hell. I just want to make sure, you know, that I'm actually getting some kind of a bonus. Really cool, you shouldn't be able to use them because they're on cooldown. Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, you're right. So even if it fails, you wouldn't be able to use it. That's a great point. Damn, that sucks. Ah. Oh well, I don't know what to say, man. We have too many then. We have too many, period. They gave us way too many. There's nothing we can do about it. Everybody's already AFKing in the jury again in the seats just because they don't want to, like, they don't want their characters to log out. And see, it's permanent. We have permanent ones too, by the way. We have lots of permanent ones. We already had these same things as permanent ones before. We have Celebration, where are they? This thing, a celebratory potion, which are permanent. I've got 14 of these, and I can get more, but I don't want to keep spending my diligence on these labor things, the Labor Day gifts. I really don't care. Like, this isn't... I have too much labor as it is, and I need to save my diligence because I want a bunch of other things. So, I got a bunch of these. I got a few of those boxes. I got more on my ult. But, like, I don't know, man. It's whatever to me. It's not a big deal. I want the diligence stuff more, because, like, I already run out of things that I want to work on, honestly. Like, everything else is great. I don't want to... Upgrading stuff for me at the moment is kind of silly. So, like I said, I've been working on my toys, right? I've been working on upgrading a shield up to tier 2. I gotta get this Mist Song Nodachi up to tier 2, so I gotta run Mist Song a little bit. But, I'm just working on other stuff right now, because it's a bit more fun for me, and I gotta get better with practicing with them anyways. So that's kind of been what I've been doing during this whole anniversary event. Let me show off this stuff. We did get a few donations. Jimbolix was able to donate an amaranth flower bed because I'm trying to get all 5 of these different local, what is it, the community center flowers. Keep in mind there's 6 community center flowers, but literally you can't make a flower bed out of one of them for some reason. And then the other donation was Len, who donated the best thing in the universe, Edge of the Abyss, which makes perfect sense in this house to have that picture right there. So Len was able to donate that guy. Otherwise, things have been pretty chill in here. I did put the anniversary cake in here. It looks great. All right, so that's it for the lore house. I know everybody cares so much about that, but honestly, you know, people have been saying nice things about this, so that's cool. I think people do enjoy just chilling and reading a book, which would be nice, because the books in this game are actually pretty good. Otherwise, I think that's pretty much it for, like, news or stuff. Yeah, they announced Archeage 2. Yeah, I mean, we should probably go over that. They didn't really announce Archeage 2, by the way. They had an interview about Archeage 2. By my understanding, Kakao and XL Games are going to officially announce Archeage 2 sometime early next year. And so an official announcement is a little different, right, than an actual interview about it or whatever. I think that there's a bit of hype because of, like, the XL Games and Kakao, like earnings reports and everything, and Archeage 2 is in there, so everybody's like, oh man, holy shit. Okay, but I get it, right? It's a video game. It's gonna be okay. So, yeah, this will probably all be highlighted on my YouTube channel, because I know everybody's been asking about Archeage 2. Alright, so we'll go over it. Let's just do it. Let's just go over it. We're gonna have a conversation about it, okay? And like I was saying earlier too, I've been watching lots of different streamers who have been saying really crazy things, and really, like, so many misconceptions about the game and everything, and about the management and everything, and it's like, I get it, you guys want views for your videos to make money, but, like, geez, alright, chill, people. The problem is people are not considering Archeage 2 like it's a different game, okay? It is, it's a completely different game, and it can be completely different. It's just called Archeage 2, and yes, Jake Song is making it, alright? Yeah, I think that Jake Song will have a pretty decent vision for it, but we have no idea what that is. But we can go over, like, the interview a little bit as well. And in general, you know, we have to wait and see. Guild Wars 2 is a very different game from Guild Wars 1, right? but people still play Guild Wars 1. And for very different reasons from Guild Wars 2, right? It's not just about characters, but the gameplay is different as well. People still play EverQuest 1, which still gets content releases to this day. So, I mean, it's not like these games die out, it's just they are their own game. They have their own audience still. And people have to kind of remember that, okay? If it ever gets to the point where Archeage 1 is inactive enough that all the servers merge together into one, that's actually pretty cool, and I think people would actually enjoy that. And the gameplay in Archeage 1 is still probably going to differ massively from the gameplay in Archeage 2. We have no idea what it's actually going to be like. I mean, personally, I wish that it will still be as, crazy fast-paced, where you can mix and match all the different skill sets and there's all these crazy combos and you have to research and do all these crazy things. I hope that's still the case. But the reality is it might not be, especially if they want to make this game both PC and mobile. And they might even go like to Xbox or something. But what does that mean? It's probably going to be a very different game, honestly. I think they're going to do some really simple version. I don't know, who knows? Again, that's all speculation that I don't want to get into. I hope that it's as crazy and fast-paced as Archeage 1, but the reality is we have no idea, right? And if it isn't, I'm probably not going to play it that much. I'll play it because of the lore and everything, but I love the style of Archeage 1 way too much, and the gameplay and the fast-paced of it, and it's why I just can't even go to another MMO at the moment, because I keep coming back to this one, because the gameplay is too much fun. So, oh, there was somebody right over there. Oh, they're probably getting the wartime Daru thing. Yeah, so it's... We'll kind of see, but I did want to go over the interview a bit. I showed off the house. Let me go back to Marianople. We'll go over the... We'll do it. Let's go over the interview. Let's see what they were talking about. I know this is like the top subject that everybody's talking about when it comes to Archeage-related things. Let me bring up the browser. I don't even know if it's going to work. Oh, it worked. Wow, look at that. Is that visible? I think it's visible, right? Oh, it's going over most of the overlay. Hold on. Let me put this down to there. Okay. Nice. Browser. There we go. Alright, cool. I think that works out pretty well. Alright. So, what servers is... I'm on Win server. I am forever. Oh, hey. We gotta get this. Sorry, you guys can't see. Hold on. There's not that much interesting stuff. Let me just get the Blue Salt Bond. Oh, 5 bonds. Nice. What do I have now? 3 and 5? Okay. Man, this is all gonna get highlighted, so this part's like... Alright, whatever. It's fine. So, yeah, so let's go over this a little bit, alright? It's like the only information that we have for the most part about Archeage 2. And again, it feels like they're gonna do an official announcement sometime early next year, which seems to be what Cacao Games wants to do. But please consider Archeage 2 like a completely separate game, alright? Don't compare it to Archeage 1, not even by management, because it can be totally different. It can be a totally separate game, alright? So this is an interview where they kind of talked with Jake Song about his vision with Archeage 2, and he says a lot of the general, regular things as you'd imagine, well, kind of the goals of what they want. So let's go over this a little bit, but it's important to know a little bit of background here. That Jake Song was the original creator of Archeage 1. He's worked in Lineage, the whole Lineage franchise. He's done a lot of things, alright? Yes, he went off and worked on Civilization Online for a little bit, okay? Which was actually 2K Games being like, hey, XL, can we use your assets for stuff? And XL's like, yeah, totally, we're actually very good at that. And so they tried to make it work, and 2K didn't really like it, so they kind of abolished the project, and Jake Song came back to Archeage, right? I think that was actually a really good opportunity for XL, because XL is pretty damn good at making assets. I mean, they're actually fantastic at it. In fact, with Archeage 2, I wouldn't be surprised if they took a bunch of assets from Archeage 1 and used them, because a lot of the stuff in the textures and a lot of the stuff is already scaled for 4K resolution at least, right? We know this because the icons in the game even are scaled to 4K resolution. If they weren't, they'd all be blurry for me, because right now I'm in 4K resolution, and I know that when I go down to 1080p, everything blurs a bunch. So it's kind of interesting. I feel like they're probably going to reuse a lot of assets, which could actually speed up the process of development quite a bit. But the capabilities of Unreal Engine 5 could make them want to do more, and so we'll kind of see what happens. So that's, again, that's kind of the bit of background. So Jake Song came back to Archeage. You know, there's been a lot of different things that have happened since then. Kakao has a full stake in XL Games, so they have reason to want to push this as well. Yeah, absolutely, Archeage 2 with RTX. VR RTX, let's do it. I can't, oh man, dude, VR, let's do it. That has to be a thing, right? Anyways, so, I mean, I'm excited for everything, of course, but I am absolutely considering this as a separate game, okay? It is a different game from Archeage 1, and it needs to be, I cannot yell that enough. People have to chill, okay? It could be totally different. It could have totally different gameplay, okay? So that established, okay? Now we can go into this. So, there's a bit of history with him, right? We know all that stuff. So the actual, you know, the interview with themselves, they also put a little bit of background on the game itself. So Archeage 1, it was actually, like, closed beta testing was 10 years ago, is what they're saying, okay? And the actual game came out in 2013 officially. So just from the closed beta test, there were 3 years until the game came out. That said, it's probably going to be about 2 to 5 years until Archeage 2 comes out. So don't get hyped right now. It's going to be, you know, we're going to chill. I'd say anywhere between 2 to 5, and that's a huge difference, because 2 years, if they're really rushing it and they really want this to be a thing, and they just reuse assets and they reuse like a lot of things from the first game, and if they're making it very similar to the first game, then it'll probably be earlier, right? Unreal Engine is actually quite nice. You can create games quite a bit faster. So, actually quite a bit faster. Let me be honest with you. Compared to Crysis Engine, Unreal Engine is insane. But that's nice. That's a luxury, and I think that they're going to use that time instead to make the game more polished. So they'll still delay it quite a bit, right? And I think that's how it needs to be. So it's going to be quite a while before we see it. That's why all this stuff on this page, just relax. It's going to be okay. There's lots of videos that are like yelling about Archeage and being like, oh, I'm going to just forget it completely because of the management. And I get it. I understand that. I think everybody does, right? And I am the same way as well. I'm not going to, you know, let's be honest here. Kakao Games takes over whatever. I don't know how much of an influence they had, but guess what? C server now is a thing, right? And we know that XL Games likes the Archeage Unchained layout. They like the Arc Pass. They've used it in their own servers. In fact, the Arc Pass is coming to Legacy. We know this because 7.0, or actually it's like 7.0 something, in Korea, has an actual Arc Pass on their Legacy servers now. They really like that system. And yet, XL Games loves the system so much, the C server doesn't have it. The C server is still pay to win. So they've just come out with a server, and yet it doesn't have all the same, like, it's still the pay-to-win. It doesn't make any sense. Like, they're just going to make another C server later that is probably less pay-to-win. Like, it's like a weird marketing scheme. So it's hard to trust XL Games, because there's a lot of weird things that they're still doing to this day, and it might just be influenced by Kakao. Who knows? But I feel like C did not have the release that they were almost promised, the release that we were hoping for. In fact, on the actual video, Jake Song talks about C right before its release. They say that they want it to be released on the same patch as Korea, and that didn't even happen at all. Like, it was released on a much earlier patch than Archeage Unchained. So it's weird. It's a little bit of an odd, scenario going into Archeage 2, what they're possibly going to be doing here, right? Yeah, I can send the link to this in chat. Is Archeage Unchained still live? Yeah, absolutely, and I have a video on that on my YouTube channel, but I don't want to go into that right now because I'm doing Archeage 2 stuff. But I have a pretty good video on that overview as a highlight on my YouTube channel, Acer. Yeah, it's weird, isn't that Swagsy? So I don't know. I don't know the answer to that exactly. I don't know what, like, dude, I love C. I really wish that they did that earlier, and I wish they did it in a much stronger way, but it is what it is, I guess. Okay, so anyways, so back to this interview. So he talks about a whole bunch of different stuff, right? There's questions about the background of the game, there's questions about why they're doing this at all, and the truth is, yeah, it's a marketing thing, right? Archeage is actually, like, one of the biggest things it has going for it is that there's this immense amount of story behind it, and they make mention that as well. And a lot of players don't really understand that, so hopefully this is a pretty good attempt at them to really bring that to the forefront where they didn't before. And I've talked about that sort of thing a lot, but it's actually quite a big thing in the game that could be quite interesting if they really pushed story. But in general, the gameplay is a big deal, right? You can do anything you want in the game, from like, from fishing to underwater hunting to like, big boat battles, fighting overworld bosses. There's the farming aspects, of course. There's hidden farms you could make. There's a million things you could do, and I think they're going to try to bring that back in a more streamlined way in Archeage 2. He kind of talks about that, where he says, there's so much that goes on that they're gonna make less of the open world crazy freedom stuff, but they want to bring most of it back, right? They want to bring the idea of it back into Archeage 2 so that you can do anything you want. But the game is going to be for mobile, and who knows, possibly Xbox and other things as well, right? So, and in addition to PC. So the actual gameplay could be anything. The gameplay could be massively different than Archeage 1. And again, consider it as a different game. Again, people still play Guild Wars 1. Again, people still play EverQuest 1. So it's important to keep those things in mind. So there's a lot that's going on here, okay? And there's a lot of things that they're going to try to go kind of with. In fact, if we want to go back to the lore topic, look at this amazing picture. Look at this thing. This is, by the way, they're saying that it's set quite a bit after the events of Archeage 1, and so the hero in Archeage 1, your main character, could actually be almost like a myth or a legacy by Archeage 2. But look at this. I mean, this is the Ionod Library, which has like a little tower here next to it, which is probably one of the, one of the faction holdings. And so this is clearly set in a way, way later time, right? But anything could happen in this game in the actual way that they create it. There might not even be factions in this game. They might completely remove the faction system. They could bring in the Archeage and make them the actual forefront. Maybe they've actually escaped somehow. They could do all sorts of things to make the game more PvE-oriented in a way that also brings in PvP somehow. So, who knows? It could be all sorts of things. But what we do know, like, this is all speculation. And again, why I want to reiterate, this is a different game that they're creating. Everything could be different, from the gameplay to how they're going to be presenting to lore, to the faction system, to anything. So just relax. It's going to be a long time before we know anything about it. They might still do an official announcement maybe next year, but we gotta chill and just wait until we hear more. And yes, absolutely I'm going to play it, because I really like the Archeage everything. I just hope that they keep the old gameplay system, but honestly, who knows, man. Shame they disabled the library. Somehow it's in AA2. Well, I mean, it's a lore thing, right? And I'm sure that there's still a lot that they're going to be doing with it. Diamond Shores gets water back in its spot again. Yeah, it looks like it's kind of falling apart, right? Like all the land is slowly sort of deteriorating from Auroria. Deteriorating, I should say. Yeah, so... But regardless, yeah, they're still going to be updating Archeage 1, of course. I mean, like all these other games are, they're still going to be working on content for Archeage 1. They're still going to be doing things for Archeage 1. That support isn't going to just die out. This is a separate game with a separate team, right? They might actually bring concepts from Archeage 2 into Archeage 1 to kind of start narrowing, I can't talk, putting the story together, all right, guys? You know what I mean. So it'll be, again, interesting to see how that kind of plays out. But I think that, them going back to the drawing board and everything and starting from scratch and, doing things in a very updated engine gives them a lot of opportunity to make the game they want really, really well and really, really well done. That game could be very different from Archeage 1. It might not even have skill sets. It might be like one of those 4-button systems, like with 4 abilities at a time, like we see with a lot of other games coming out right now, right? Where you just have a lot less you can do. Like how New World is. It could be like that, honestly. We don't know. So, we kind of have to see. We have to see what they actually do with it. There's very, very little that we get from this. Other than the fact that they're working on it. They have a lot of visions from things like Lineage, from WoW, from Archeage 1, that they want to really kind of bring in. My guess would be a lot more co-op gameplay, because they understand that that is a more... it's a better way to bring people into your game, like, we see with Guild Wars 2 or with Final Fantasy, co-op and PvE is a big deal, but I'm sure they're going to be bringing in PvP aspects to everything too. Personally, I think that they will actually make it so that there are no factions. It is co-op gameplay. It is something you could play as an MMO and do world boss content and stuff, but there's going to be a lot more to it lore-wise that we see. That's my personal guess. But we have to treat it like a separate game. Like, man, I don't know, dude. There's so many videos on YouTube right now where everybody's like, oh, but XL Games is just going to make money off of it, and you know, all they're doing is they're trying to milk the community or whatever. And yeah, they're trying to make money, of course. I hope that they go the route of Archeage Unchained. I hope that they go the route of no pay to win, of no marketplace, you know, you just buy gold essentially or anything like that. The reality is, I don't see that happening. I don't, because of the way that we've seen things historically, like the way that the C server came up. It doesn't make any sense. So we have to see more, you know, closely later on, but we'll see what they actually create, right? We don't know. There's really nothing we can go off just by this article alone. We just know that they want to develop one, which is nice. And, you know, they're bringing in the original writer of Archeage, you know, the books themselves, The Fur and the Hawk and the other two, I believe. And it's nice. I think it's cool. Yeah, they're still going to be working on Archeage 1, of course. Archeage 1 is going to be a very different game, most likely, than Archeage 2, so honestly, I see a lot of people sticking with Archeage 1 if they like that gameplay versus Archeage 2. Myself, I might be included in that. But, you know, there's hype around it when it still probably is going to be about 2 to 5 years before we see anything really big, right? So everybody, just relax. Go get your tea. Don't feel like you've wasted your time in Archeage 1 because there's a second game coming out, because it is a totally different game, most likely. Again, based on history and based on Jake Song's history and how the game market is changing, I feel like it's going to be an extremely different game. But I think there will still be an audience for it, and it will be enjoyable, right? And then eventually they'll bring it to other markets and other regions. It's not just going to be Korea, but, you know, maybe 6 to a month, or I'm sorry, 6 years, or 6 years. 6 months to a year down the road, then the other regions will start to get it, right? And yeah, it'll probably be hosted by Kakao, right? Instead of them going out to some other partner like GameAgo or anybody else, they'd rather just publish it themselves. I do see that as being a thing too. And we've seen how Kakao does that, right? We've seen how I get it. You know, a lot of people don't like trying in GameAgo or whatever, but man, I don't like how they publish games. It's exactly with how XL does it directly. So I don't think anybody's worth. I don't know, man. It's like equally bad, I think. I don't know. The players aren't going to benefit no matter what happens, all right? It's all about making money and providing some kind of gameplay to keep people in the game, right? That's how we've seen it generally. I hope that they do a different route with Archeage 2, but it is going to be a different game, so who knows? We'll have to see. I think the biggest here is that they're kind of talking a lot about how they want to develop it with like mobile in mind as well. You know, they want to make it for both PC and mobile and everything else. I think that's going to be the biggest gotcha that people are gonna, I don't know, the people are gonna see it's a different game over, right? If you want to make a game that's mobile and PC, you can't have 4,500 different abilities at the bottom of your screen, unless you literally are making it so all they can use their phone on is Farmville, which is probably not what people want to play, right? So this down here is not happening in Archeage 2, period. I just don't see this being a thing. I don't see this being a thing in Archeage 2. I just can't imagine how that would happen. Which sucks, because I love this gameplay. I love having so many things, but I think they're going to streamline it for a wider audience, which makes sense monetarily and by the gameplay. I think the gameplay is going to be really fun. It's just not going to be what Archeage 1 is. That's my personal guess on it, but we'll have to see, right? I'm still going to be optimistic about it because I think that they have a pretty good vision in the game and they have some really, really cool stuff with lore going for them that, I don't know, people kind of undervalue. So we'll kind of see how that goes. So that's my long opinion about Archeage 2, alright? That's where we're talking about it. That's where we're gonna stop talking about it, because I don't know what else to say. What do you guys think? I'm hyped, but I'm not gonna be like head over heels over it, right? I really enjoy Archeage 1. It's a really, really fun game. The combat and everything is really good, so I hope that they bring in like everything back, right? They've said that they want to bring in vehicles and mounts and stuff like that back. They still want to bring in a lot of those kind of aspects of gameplay, which is good. Totally. I don't think it's going to be like this. I don't think it's going to be like this. But it'll be maybe like half of this, right? Something like that. Something so it's easier to play on your phone. Or it's easier to maybe play if they do bring it to like Xbox or something. We'll have to see. Oh, you guys hear the stuff happening outside? Oh, probably. Hold on, I'll turn this thing on. Alright. There, remove noise. Now my quality is much lower. You like the talent ability to, yeah, so the ability to choose talents and skills, right. I like it too. If they make Archeage 2 more like Final Fantasy, where it's a lot of PvE stuff, I'll play it for the lore, absolutely. But I don't think I'm going to stick to it long term. I just go back to Archeage 1, because I love this gameplay. I want more games like this, that do this, where you can like swap things out all the time. I want this. This is fun. This is awesome. Where, like, you know, there's combos with all sorts of different things. But yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. Your PC can barely run the game, let alone your phone. Yeah, I know. It's a little different. If they're gonna, they have to optimize it a lot better. Honestly, Unreal Engine 4 and 5 are really, really good at that. They are very powerful for the phone and very powerful on even more PCs. We know this because, I mean, look at Fortnite. Fortnite is optimized to work on literally a toaster. You can play Fortnite on your toaster. So, like, I don't know. I'd say they'll probably make it pretty well optimized. They'll make it so that you can play in really, really good graphics. Unreal Engine 4 and especially 5 has a lot of different capabilities that allow you to squeeze performance out of lower performing devices, which is pretty cool, and especially required in an MMO. So we'll kind of see what happens, right? Scrump, I'm on Win server. North America Win. Yeah, I don't know. I think too many things about all this. I think a lot of people have made a lot of YouTube content to just address the situation, and then, I don't know, a lot of people are just looking for views, so they're saying really, really ridiculous things, and I don't like that. I mean, I have my assumptions too, like I've made during this, you know, whole spiel, about how I think it could be, about how we've historically seen Excel Games and Kakao operate. We can hope for the best, but realistically, I don't know. I think it's, who knows. I also, by the way, this is kind of a big one. A lot of people are saying, oh, but what about Ashes of Creation? We're busy playing that. Yeah, absolutely. Ashes of Creation, totally different game than Archeage. It's not the same game, believe it or not. It's actually got a different name and everything. And Ashes of Creation looks awesome. I think it's amazing. I don't think it's Archeage, though. I don't think that it's going to replace Archeage because they're different games. BDO is a totally different game than Archeage. Archeage 2 is a totally different game than Archeage 1, right? That's how I'm expecting it'll be. So Archeage 2 will be a totally different game than Final Fantasy and Ashes of Creation. I think all of these games will have their audience, and people will have fun with them, and all of these games will be awesome, but they will be awesome for their own reasons. That's it. All of these games are going to be great. They're just for their own reasons, for their own audiences. And that's that. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it's awesome. I think that's fine. So, yeah. That's what I have to say on the whole Archeage 2 thing. Game for One for the Win server. Yeah, winner of the NA. Yeah, I don't think so. I think Tyrannos has been pretty good. Tyrannos has been a really cool server for a lot of different competition and stuff. Who knows what will happen once transfers and merges hit. Did I go over everything? I think I did, right? We'll see what happens. I'm a little bit worried, though, because, like, what if I fall in love with Archeage 2? Like, they do make it amazing, and, like, the combat is so cool, and I love it, and then I don't want to go back to Archeage 1? I still don't feel like any of the stuff is lost, right? I don't feel like I'm wasting my time playing a game that I love and enjoy on a daily basis, right? But for a moment there, when they first announced it, I'm like, really? How am I going to feel about this? I don't think it's going to be that crazy, though. I mean, Guild Wars 2 came out, right? 7 years after Guild Wars 1 was released. That's the difference between Guild Wars 2 and Guild Wars 1 in release dates. It's been 7 years now since Archeage 1 was released and in Korea, And it'll probably be another 2 to 5 years before we really hear anything about Archeage 2 anyways. So I think we've still got plenty of time for stuff to happen. And for you to enjoy the game and do really fun stuff in Archeage 1. And if Archeage 2 isn't really your cup of tea, you just go back to Archeage 1. They're still going to be, you know, creating updates and stuff for it. Like we still see for Guild Wars 1, well, not as much, right? I don't know when their last big patch was, but they've been kind of doing events and things. Or, you know, EverQuest 1. Or what are other good examples of games with good MMO sequels? I don't even know. Destiny? Do people still play Destiny 1? Is that a thing? Wait, could you imagine if they took Archeage 2 and they just rolled over the databases? They actually did make it the same game as Archeage 1, but just like more up to date and somehow compatible with mobile. God, that what a dream that would be, right? They just move the databases over. You get all the same stuff. Everything's the same, right? It's never gonna happen in a million freaking years, because you know they're trying to make money here. But that would be like a crazy breakthrough, and would never happen. Period. There's a 100% chance of that not happening. One last ride. I know, I love those memes. I love all the memes people have made about all this stuff. Like of everything. It's just, the memes throughout Archeage history, good and bad, has been really, really entertaining and fun. But time to charge back 10 years of I don't think it works like that. God. I have like no purchases period in Archeage. It's just like all the cosmetic stuff, if anything. Like these wings, right? So, you know, I regret nothing. I still really like this game, and I play it solo. ArenaNet is still supporting Guild Wars 1, but from what you've heard, people who've played it, Guild Wars 2 is not the same. Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I've played Guild Wars 1 a lot. Guild Wars 2 came out when I was in college, and during that time, a lot of people were still playing Minecraft. And then in class, you'd see a ton of people playing Guild Wars 2, right? I remember this. I would sit in classes, and the people in front of me on their laptops would be playing Guild Wars 2. And I'm like, dude, just chill, man. We're in a freaking physics class, and we have a test today. We're literally taking it right now. What are you doing? But I never really got into Guild Wars 2 because, like, I don't know. I was playing PlanetSide 2 at the time, I think. I had other things on my mind, and I didn't really like the style of Guild Wars 2 versus Guild Wars 1 anyways. Those wings people got... Yeah, I had it on Legacy as well since 2015, these wings. I had this exact look on Legacy since 2015, and I finally got it back in Archeage Unchained. They brought back the wings, though, on Legacy as well as like a credit item shop item, too. It's not just Archeage Unchained where they did that. Yeah, I do actually wonder if Guild Wars 1 still has, like, big updates or anything. Do they? I have no idea. I don't even know how I would find out. Whatever, it's fine. Not really? Yeah, okay. It's been a few years, right? It's been 7 years. I'm sorry, it's been 7 years between Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 2 came out in... Oh, I want to say 2013. That can't be right, though. That can't be right. It can't be 2013. When did Guild Wars 2 come out? Let me see. Guild Wars 2 release date. Guild Wars 2 came out in 2012. Oh my god, yeah, even earlier than that. Wow. Okay, so it's been 8 years since Guild Wars 2's release. Yeah, I'm sure that they've stopped working on Guild Wars 1. They still come out with stuff for Guild Wars 2, which is nice, but maybe to them, at this point, it's time for Guild Wars 3, right? I think they might be looking into that, too. Oh, man, dude. It could be a big competition when Archeage 2 comes out. Guild Wars 3 might be a thing by that point. We might have a World of Warcraft 2, return of the RTS. I don't know, that'd be nice. Could we get an RTS game for Warcraft? Who knows? Who knows what they would do? But I feel like Star Citizen, yeah, maybe by that point Star Citizen could be an alpha. I think it already is, to be fair, never mind. Okay, Alpha 2. Just living story updates, no Guild Wars 3. You don't think they're going to do anything like that? I don't know. I think people will take the chance to make or remake a game on a higher quality game engine to be more longer lasting, right? We'll have to see. I mean, the big thing with Unreal Engine is that they're supposed to be They're supposed to be making it so you can roll over updates to greater versions without any problems, which is pretty awesome. So Unreal Engine 4 will actually be compatible. Well, you'll be able to upgrade to Unreal Engine 5, which is awesome for those folks. For all the developers, that's really, really cool. You just take advantage of all the new updates without having to redo everything. I think very, very much you'll see a lot of companies start to take advantage of Unreal Engine because of that. So they can make their games last a lot longer, right? Then if they, they might release Archeage 3, right? But it won't be like, they could actually do it in the same database or something, right? They could actually make that roll over. That'd be pretty cool because it's all in the same engine. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows how the future will look? But I still like Gwyn's comment right at the beginning. Archeage 2 in VR with RTX. Oh man. Oh man. Can we do that? Can we play in VR? VR Archeage? Shit, dude, we've played first-person Archeage before. We've done this. During actual gameplay, we played this, okay? And it was sickening, alright? I did one Tiger Strike and I threw up all over my walls. I would love to see that in VR. I would have a blast in VR, jumping around with Tiger Strike and teleporting around all over the place. Oh, man. Oof. I just make sure not to eat dinner before I do. It's so funny. But I think it's possible. I think that's totally a thing they could do. Long-living games are definitely a good thing. Absolutely. I think that it works out for the developer's favor as well. Where, yeah, I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening. It's cool stuff, though. I really like where development has gone in general for all of game development. And Epic Games has done a lot for that, too. Might want to warm up Beat Saber first. I've been playing it a little bit, yeah. I love doing stuff in VR, but there's not enough games for it. And if they're going to make another AAA MMO... Oh, dude! Oh, man. I know what's going to happen. I can already tell you as the future. You heard it here first, alright? Archeage 2 is going to compete with Elder Scrolls 6. Good luck. Fight. That's never going to happen. Everybody's going to go play Elder Scrolls 6. You don't have room for VR? You might in 6 years, though, so I think you'll be okay. By that point, hopefully. If the world isn't burned down by then. Oh, man. Yeah, it's going to be weird. I don't know. AAA MMO is tough. There's a lot of competition for an audience and such, and who knows how it's going to go. It's really tough to develop an MMO in the first place. You have to literally say, hey, I'm going to dedicate my career to this game for the next 5 years. And then after it's released, I'll dedicate 5 more to it, because I want to make this game a success. That is literally how MMO development is. It's crazy. But that's pretty normal, right? That's how it is. You have to dedicate so much time to it. You don't get to work on other projects. You have to be on this one project. It becomes people's life goals and life careers, right? It's Jake Song's sort of baby, the way that it is. So we'll see, and we'll see what they end up creating. What kind of, hopefully a good game out of it. But yeah, if Archeage 2 is placed like, I don't know, 30 years, actually, I don't know, based on the picture, I'd say it's about 50 years in the future from Archeage 1. I'd say it's quite a lengthy duration between Archeage 1 and Archeage 2 lore-wise. So they probably have a whole lot they can do in terms of lore. Plus, if the story of Archeage 1 ends very similar to what it is right now, if you haven't played through the storyline yet of the garden and everything, you'll know how it ends. I feel like they can do some pretty cool things with Archeage 2 lore, and I'm excited for what they might do there. That'll be like really interesting stuff that players can actually enjoy and understand the lore better. Because Archeage 1 never had a really good time teaching people the lore, but there's so much to the game, it's insane, right? I really wish they did a bit more there. Kill a Knight, hello. That's where I'm on. This is on Win server. I'm just chilling on Win right now. Hanging out. Mostly we've been talking about Archeage 2 and stuff and just hanging out with chat. I think it needed to be addressed, though, because everybody's like, this thing. Yeah, I know. It's big news. I wonder if Exo Games is considering on making a Magithropter with a red dragon wing cloak, or an image item that could be applied to the ones that exist. I don't know. I know they recently made a little baby dragon in Korea that looks very much like it came out of that. What is that dragon Disney movie? Maybe it's not Disney, or maybe it's Disney, Pixar, or DreamWorks or something. I don't remember. What is that one called? I always forget the name of it. Damn. I had to be reminded on stream last time we talked about it too. What is that dragon-y, cartoony animated movie called? They had 3 of them. It was actually really good. How to Train Your Dragon. How to Train a Dragon. How to Train Your Dragon. That. It looks like that new one. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that new dragon looks like it came right out of there. So at the very least, they've done that. I don't know if they're going to make a Magithropter like the red dragon wings like what we have here. That'd be cool, though. Yeah, Toothless. It literally looks like Toothless. Like, they actually put a dragon in this game that looks... God, it's like, it's Toothless, alright? It's literally Toothless. If you haven't seen it, you can go and try to scour through the Excel. Maybe I can find it, actually. Hold on. Now I have the capabilities to make that happen. Hold on. Let's see if I can find it. God, I don't even know where to start, to be fair. Excel, Games, Archeage, Dragon. What do we got here? We got anything in images that's even slightly related? Not really. I see a bunch of RuneScape pictures, and I have no idea where to find it. I'd have to like look through their patch notes or something. Builders 2 has a skin for the Sky Scale Dragon that looks similar to this as well. Why is everybody... I guess... I don't know. How to Train Your Dragon was a good movie. Well, was 3 good movies. I actually really enjoyed all of them, which is different, because like, normally I don't really like sequels to all these animated movies, but those are actually pretty good. So I guess it makes sense that everybody wants to cash in on the hype. Yeah, I can't find this thing. Excel Games Archeage Calculator. I always do this to get to their main website. It's my little trick to do it. Alright, yeah, so we talked about Archeage 2 a bit. Alright, it's done. We did it. We talked about it. It'll be highlighted on YouTube. I don't really know if we talked about anything too crazy about it. I think I just yelled a lot about people just need to chill and treat it like a separate game, and everybody's got to relax. Because it probably isn't going to come out for another 2 to 5 years anyways. I think it's what people need to hear, honestly. Like, I'm not trying to, like, spark up views or anything. This is not a monetary thing for me. This is a hobby, right? I make video content as a hobby. I don't do this for money or anything. Whereas a lot of people on YouTube are doing it for money, and so they're trying to, you know, rack up views so they'll say anything. And I'm trying to let people just relax for a little bit. Hey, Ozan. Hello. Killer Knight, you'd rather ride a dragon that looks like Toothless than have a baby pet? Yeah, I guess that's fair. I don't know. I mean, there is like a little baby combat pet you can get, right? Little baby dragon combat pet. It's in the Curious Badge shop. It's oh, is it not in the Curious Badge shop? Never mind. Maybe it's for Diligence then. Hold on. Pets. Oh yeah, here we go. Lava Spark. It's actually a pretty good pet. I mean, there's some better pets like Blobby and stuff that people generally use. They're a bit easier, but Lava Spark's actually not too bad. Just you don't see it as much as other things. This is like a little baby dragon. This feisty little dragon has been carefully enchanted to prevent it from growing further. Dragons in general have crazy lore in this game as well. Not quite the regular lore that you expect from dragons in mythology. It's actually quite different. And I really enjoyed Archeage lore on dragons. We gotta go over that at some point. I know a lot of people have actually asked for more lore content out of my streams, which is pretty cool. Looks like the Black Dragon Whelp from WoW. I don't know what that looks like. I may have to link that. I know a lot of people have actually asked for lore content, and I don't even know where to begin, because there's so much. Like, the dragons alone we could talk about for 45 minutes, and how, like, you know, from the nuance to the past before the nuance, from the war that they had, from how dragons are treated right now in Archeage in this, you know, current timeline, in, like, the present, you know, present timeline. We could talk about Alexander, right? The head, not headmaster, but I don't know. Anyways, we can talk about Alexander, right? Because he's got massive history with the Delphinid library, I should say. With like just it goes on and on and on. It's crazy. To the fact that he might not even be dead, right? What server is this? This is Win server. Ozone. I'm not doing anything too crazy though. We're just chilling and talking. I was still trying to find the picture of that dragon, but I can't find it anywhere. I don't even know where to find that thing. Where in the world would it be? It's like one of these update notes. Oh, I know where it'd be. Different. Hold on. Hold the phone. I think I can find a picture. I know where to look. I know where to look. I just gotta focus for 1 second. Oh man, it's not here. When did that thing come out? That was like 2 months ago. Maybe not. Maybe it was much earlier than that. When did that dragon come out? Damn. Maybe I can't find it. That sucks. Oh, it's right here. Oh my god, it's on their main page. It's like a freaking banner here. Look at this thing. Hold on. I can show you guys this. Hey, look at this thing. Okay, that's a terrible picture. This thing is literally toothless, alright? Let me zoom in. Look at that. Okay, it's pretty low quality right now because I zoomed in a lot, but come on, alright? We got anything else here? Alright, there. That's what I was talking about, alright? Supposedly you can, like, play with it or something. At least I was able to show that off. You're playing an Alexander for EU? That's cool. Looks like Charizard? Yeah, I guess... Yeah, I guess it's like a really playful Charizard. I can see that. That's true. NA on Jargant? On Jurgent? Oh. How's Jurgent going? I heard it's not, like, super competitive. Probably free farm at this point. I really wish they just merged servers instead of transfers. I know there's, like, crazy opinions about everything right now. About transfers over mergers, mergers over transfers, but transfers tend to kill servers more than they do good. And sometimes people are actually looking for that, so that's why you see a lot of people want to go the transfer out versus merges. There's never really an easy way to do any of it. Let's chill. Okay. That's cool. Chill is good. Oh, I gotta find somebody to actually do Missung Banquet. Or not Banquet. Or Banquet. We could do Banquet too, but I need to actually do Missung Dungeon. Sean! Let's see if we can get people. Because I actually need to... Like I said, I'm trying to get the Missung Nadachi up to tier 2, so I actually have to like kill Taurus a bunch of times. Most people are toxic about helping new players like me. That sucks. I'm sorry about that. It's gonna happen, unfortunately. I don't know. People are gonna be toxic. The loudest people are generally toxic. You know, the quietest people are not. So if you can find guilds that are generally quieter, Killa, you might actually have a much better time, you know, learning the game and working with those folks who are essentially working with themselves and, you know, in guild chat or on their own discords or whatever. That's how I've tended to see it work. But if you guys have any Archeage related questions or you want to learn more about something, this is a great place to ask. So literally, honestly, anything you guys need to know more about Archeage or you know, you want to theorycraft builds or whatever, I literally stream to answer those kind of questions for fun, because I enjoy just hanging out with you guys. With merges, if they stick with people who get their houses back and combine servers full kits would be nice. I think that's what they'll do, but like people are worried that merges are not transfers. You know, transfers allow people to go to specific servers. Honestly, what I would like to see, and I know it sucks, but I would like to see, it would never happen, period, okay? I'm just gonna say this first. I would like to see them kill a server And what they would do is say, this server is dying. You guys can now move to another server. You get all your stuff as full kits. And in addition to that, all land and all servers will be demoed. That's what I want to see. It's a merge without a merge. They're just killing off a bunch of servers. They let people transfer off, and then they remove all the land, and they give you guys a new land grab, right? The land grab time. That's what I would like to see, honestly. I don't think that will ever happen, period. But I think that's the most fair route, is instead of merging two servers together, they kill a server, and they allow people to go to whatever server they want. I think that makes a lot more sense, personally. But there is no good way to do it. You will always have people disappointed. You will always have people quit over merges and transfers. That will always happen. It is never easy. There's no easy way to do it or correct way to do it. Even though, you know, some people might prefer one, some people might prefer another route. It's never easy. Carrot Powder C must be the most toxic server out there. I don't know. Gwyn, are you still around? How is C in terms of toxicity? There's so many different languages on C. I can't imagine people even talk to each other. I mean, let alone, you know, toxicity existing. I get people, like, maybe purple each other, but, like, I can't imagine people are communicating actively with, like, you know, between the Chinese groups and the English groups, and, you know, it's a big audience of a lot of different countries. I'm sure there's Russians on it all over the place, too. Transfers allow people to move from what is a PvP server or a PvE server. Yeah, kind of. The problem that ends up happening is, like, a lot of people go to, quote, a new PvP server, and then actually they don't, and they end up going to a different server and free farming. Or, what we see more commonly is people go into PvP servers, make everybody go nuts, everybody else go nuts, because they've been free farming forever that they massively overgear everybody else, and then those guilds go to other servers to free farm, so that they can then go and 6 months later compete. Like, this is what ends up happening with transfers, is it's just a giant game of cat and mouse, where everybody is chasing PvP, but everybody keeps leaving so that they can go and fight nobody, so they can go and get gear to then PvP, and it's like a bunch of silliness that ends up happening. I think it's sorted itself out now on Legacy, because now everybody's literally like, well, the game is boring when we free farm, so let's just all hang out. You don't chase PvP. Well, I mean, if you're looking for a PvE server, I guess, but I don't know. A lot of people do tend to be that way. The C Discord server is mad? I don't know. Gwyn said so I don't know. I don't know what's happening on C right now. In general, I wish that C release was a lot different. I wish they did a lot better things for its player base. I don't know why they did the way they did. And yes, I do feel like they will get an Unchained server in C. I feel like the next server that opens up in C will be an Unchained server. And then everybody's going to be yelling, because they all want to play on that one. So, I don't know. What is free farming again? That is when you're able to do world boss content and PvP, what is normally essentially PvP content that people fight over, without any competition. So you're able to actually get everything you want without anybody trying to fight you. Honestly, like, I don't even know why people do that. The end game is so easy to reach in Archeage, now especially, with Haram and everything, that it's like, I don't know, man. It's not... People forget the whole point is to actually, like, enjoy the game. And if you enjoy PvP, then you have to put yourself in challenging positions, and create challenging positions for yourself. You have to actively try to make sure that your opponents, which are your content, are gearing up and are progressing so that they can fight you, because that's the fun of it. And I think people forget that too much. And I always use them as an example, but, like, I have to, because it was so good. I mean, Planetside 2 is a great example of guilds working together because they knew that even though they were in different factions, the other factions were the content. Your opponents are the content. So all of us were friends. We'd all work together, we'd set up competitions, we'd set up fun things, we'd set up skirmishes. And we did this because, A, we were not a toxic community, okay? And B, we were each other's content, so we would use that to our advantage to make our own groups and outfits and guilds grow and have fun and enjoy a video game. And I don't think that that's as common at all in most games, though. Especially not like an MMO RPG the way that these kind of games are. lot of people don't get that, unfortunately. Gwyn are really cool. Kill a Knight, played yesterday, gets to level 48. Yeah, getting to the end game, well, getting to the level end game isn't too bad at all, yeah. Getting to the gear end game isn't too bad either. It takes like maybe a couple of months of effort, and you can get to pretty much wherever you want. If you want to become PvP competitive, no problem. And during which, and I always say this, I know you guys are tired of me saying it, but like, during which, while you're gear hunting, if you can get all the other skill sets to 55, then you can play other classes just for PvP. So like, while you level up a DPS build with gear, you are actually playing in PvP a CC build with maybe Songcraft to help benefit your allies, while charming enemies, Witchcraft to disable enemies, Aromancy, to be able to keep yourself alive and keep your allies alive as well through like protective wounds and such. More people need to play these kind of builds while they level up actual like DPS classes or whatever they normally want. But you don't see this as much, so people get really tired because they keep dying all the time. Yeah, of course, because you're playing a DPS build when you have not the gear score to be a DPS build, right? Play something with Aromancy, play something with Witchcraft, and be a little different. Try different things, and you'll actually notice that you're helping out your team a lot better than if you were even a high gear score DPS, to be honest, right? But you don't see that as much, unfortunately. It's a great way to learn the game, too, from the back lines, just dishing out crowd control left and right and doing things like that. You know, people kind of undervalue actually playing those classes because it's actually really fun. Honestly. But, like, getting to the end game is so easy. It's actually not that big of a deal. Sensitive, do you still think it's not fun for you as a lower 8k player to encounter 14k all the time? Yeah, in a 1v1, obviously, you're not gonna be able to do very much, right? Because they're just gonna be able to kill you instantly. Now that said, if you played a class like Hordebreaker or something crazy with crowd control, you can definitely make that person's life a nightmare for about 45 seconds before, yes, they eventually kill you. But my point is you can play classes where you, in larger scale PvP, can make a massive difference without needing any gear at all. And even playing from the back lines where you can actually do things and learn the game and understand things without having to actually die instantly. Oh, you've killed a 14k before 1v1? Oh, and I see what you mean, yeah. It depends, right? Like, if they have stealth or something, they'll be able to get their first move. If there is a system where you could stand a chance in PvP. Yeah, it is. The system is in place, actually. You just have to play different classes, right? The system is you play support classes until you can actually participate as whatever class you want, right? And that is the problem, is that people don't value that as much. In fact, honestly, like, again, this top 100 list of players, this is not a good list of people to look at and be like, oh yeah, people play Fnatic all the time, or people play, you know, Ebon's Song or whatever. Okay, people play those classes because they're in the top 100, because they have the gear to carry them in survivability. So what do you not see in these classes? Witchcraft, Aromancy, except for that guy. But Witchcraft, Aromancy, Defense, you don't see them as much in the top 100 because they don't need them. They don't care about that. They're not trying to survive, they're trying to dish out damage. If more people played Aromancy underneath this top 100, they would be able to compete just fine against this top 100 because they are playing more survivable builds, especially in raid versus raid, right? You have to play a different build. You have to try and understand something differently and play a little differently, all right? We have the skill savers for a reason. In your C content with your guild, which is quite high geared, you're just a cannon shooter. Yeah, play Witchcraft. You know what sucks, though? Literally, like, I think other regions get this better than NAEU, but like, if you're a low gear score and you're not playing like Fnatic, people would actually yell at you, which is stupid because you're not going to be able to survive as a Fnatic, and yet people are like, oh, you got to play Fnatic because you're, you know, because you're a magic DPS. It's like, no, you got to play a build that'll actually keep you alive, because the longer you're alive in combat and able to do stuff to the opponent, the more of a value you are. So introducing Witchcraft and Aromancy and, you know, occultism and all these other things is actually massively more important, and yet a lot of guild leads don't understand that, and they try to make people play certain classes, which is really, really ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. I think other regions get this. I think even EU gets it better. I think legacy servers have understood this finally after so many years. I think they've really understood this, where, you know, people need to be playing these classes more. You see Protective Wings all the time in Legacy now, finally. But you don't really see it at all on Archeage Unchained, because... we gotta play DPS, man. Jeez, man. If you had more people playing Protective Wings, it would be a massively different game. But you don't see it as much, which is really weird. But, I don't know. You wish you could switch to Mage easy in some cases. Yeah, I wish that in general it would be easier to switch from one archetype to another. They're kind of introducing those elements. They probably will more and more as time goes on. But, I don't know, I've enjoyed Melee for so many years now. It's just a different gameplay style, right? And I've gotten used to it and I enjoy it. And yeah, I die pretty quickly in combat, but I've played, you know, I play in a way where I'm able to do what I need to do before I die, right? I'm able to cause problems before I die. Yeah, we are getting those kind of things. It's just going to take a long time before we get them. They've even recently introduced the, it's a synthesis stone that will actually let you change out a stat for a specific stat instead of it being RNG. And you can actually farm them in the garden. I mean, they're an abysmally low drop rate, but you can farm them in the garden, right? And so that's kind of nice. So hopefully we can get that sooner than later. I'm sure that'll be packed into some later 7.0 update that we end up getting in an AEU. Probably the same patch line for C eventually. Yeah, so they're kind of doing that, right? They're kind of getting people to have more freedom after so many years. C won't last this long. Like I said, I think C is going to open up an Unchained server, and that'll be the more popular one, which is really unfortunate for anybody who spent a lot of money on C, but I don't know why they did it that way. They just decided to. It's weird. Can I elaborate on the difference between T4 and T5 Haram? Last time you said it didn't really matter. Yes. So there's the one big difference. Well, how do I? Okay, let's start at the basics. All right. Tier 4 and Tier 5 Haram have the same synthesis stats. Okay. I think that's for most gear. It's the same synthesis stats. So what you see at the bottom there, I know it's kind of tiny, but it says Strength 110, Defense Penetration 691. That stuff is the same between Tier 4 and Tier 5. Okay. The big difference is the main stats. So for weapons, it's a 4% difference in DPS. So it's a 4% difference on the weapon for damage, okay? And that does not mean you get 4% more damage in skills. That means you get really about 3.5 to 3.6% more damage in your actual skills themselves, because all you're getting is slightly more melee attack, okay? Or ranged attack or magic attack or healing power, right? So 4% on the weapon, okay? From armor, each armor piece is only 1% more defense. 1% more defense from going T4 to Tier 5. And again, the synthesis stats don't change. I don't know if that's the same for the flute. Oh, we can check. Let's just go look. Let's go see. We have enough scrolls to go and check it out. Let's take a gander here. Maybe there is some synthesis. Oh god, I forgot they moved the freaking warehouse. This is never gonna. I'll never remember this. Let's go look. What is this difference in the flute? Nothing. Nothing but gear score increase. Literally nothing. What? What? I don't understand this. There's literally no difference. What about this? Yeah, the belt has the same ones as well. It's the same synthesis stats. All you get is 1% more defense. That's it. So yeah, Tier 5 is nothing. Here's the reason why people want to go Tier 5, okay? Tier 5 does have one benefit, that you can enhance it, okay? You can enhance it so that your level 0 slashing is level 1 slashing, or level 10 slashing, okay? Yes, this actually changed in Korea as well, really cool. I'm surprised it took so long for them to move this on our server. We got it with this patch the other day. Yeah, so people are spending all their... Yeah, exactly. Tier 5 is just a... Tier 5 is a cosmetic thing. You just want to look cool with your slightly more gear score, and that's about it, right? They're just trying to convince people that they need to. But in reality, the actual stats that you gain, especially those stats, all curve off anyways. It doesn't matter, okay? But Tier 5 does benefit you because you can enhance something, okay? But enhancement only works in very specific ways, and I think I have it as a command here. I don't have it as a command here. So let me link you guys to what research we did on the enhancement system and how ridiculously stupid and trashy that is. It's an extremely expensive system, except for Erenor weapons, where technically it's not that expensive. Okay, but I'm not going to get into those specifics. And for like Haram and everything else, it's extremely expensive to enhance stuff at tier 5, and the actual value that you gain is so minuscule that if you don't have everything at Eternal already, that you shouldn't even be worrying about that, alright? It should be on a totally separate, don't even think about it whatsoever sort of thing. So here's the post that I put on Reddit about what we essentially learned about the enhanced system, okay? And here it is in a browser that you can see. So, and then I just clicked some. Oh God. Okay. So essentially, the old damage system bonus is gone. Okay. This is not on C, by the way. Okay. This is not on C. C doesn't have any of this yet. So, anyways, you essentially get like a less than 1% bonus every time you enhance, but only against a specific armor type, anyways, and even less bonuses against armor types. So that's kind of the point of why the system is extremely, extremely low value. It's really endgame to people who just want to spend crazy amounts of gold on ridiculous things that don't even give you that much of a value of things, okay? Don't think about it too much. It's not that crazy. But I did post a link there. You can read a bit more on your own if you want. Anyways, my point is that because of how crazy the endgame curves off, because of how much the stats curve off, yeah, it's pretty easy to be competitive, but you have to play classes that will actually be competitive. If you are a Fanatic, okay, which is a very massively pushing DPS class for Mage, okay, it is a completely DPS class for Mage, okay, you just push out DPS. If you're a Fanatic, and you have 6k gear score, and you go up against a Fanatic who has 12k gear score. Okay, again, gear score is a terrible metric, but I'm going to use it here because it's the best way that most people understand stuff. You are going to die first because you are both DPS classes, and one beats the other, right? Because of gear, one is going to instantly kill the other one. But if you, instead of maybe, instead of sorcery, or even instead of shadow play, you take Aromancy, suddenly, you as a 6k Fanatic can kill a 12k Fanatic because the longevity of your survival gives you more ability to do stuff. So if they proc your immunity from damage, you now have that immunity time to kill the other person or crowd control them. If they proc, like if you go really far into Aromancy, they proc the last passive that makes it so you take 30% less damage from magic. Well, that's not a Fanatic with Aromancy, right? You get my point. So you take 30% less damage from magic, then you will take significantly less damage, allowing you to survive longer to kill this other person, right? Simply changing out the class helps massively, but people don't do that, and I don't know why. I don't understand it. Why don't people just play classes that actually make sense for their gear level, right? If you took Witchcraft instead, not exactly, Tivlo. I'll get into that in a second. If you took Witchcraft instead of Aromancy even, then you have a lot of crowd control that you can do to stop the Fanatic or disable him entirely that stops him from being able to actually do anything against you, right? There's a lot you can do, but people don't take those options. So what happens? They play Fanatic at 6k gear score. They die to a 12k gear score. They say, this game sucks, and they leave. Instead of thinking, what can I do better? And that's the problem. And it's a big problem, but unfortunately, that is how most of the gaming community is. They want to be they just want to win. They just want to go into a game and instantly do stuff. But in an MMO, that's not how things work, right? In an MMO, if you dedicate more time to something, you'll gain more stats, and that's how it is. It's a game that you're meant to be playing for years. If you don't like that, that's fine. It's okay not to like an MMO for that, absolutely. But don't blame it on the MMO. Right? Blame it on the fact that you just don't like that kind of style of games, and that's okay. Go play. There's tons of amazing games for instant gratification and fun like that. They're all over the place. There's so many. Valorant, Overwatch, CS:GO, all these battle royale games. They're all really, really good. They're amazing games. They're very different. Archeage. So the enhancing system isn't necessarily useless for healers. We have seen that, yes, you do get the little green up arrows, but it is very weird. It's very weird. So maybe there is some benefit there. Yes, it might be low. You might actually be able to heal people in leather slightly more with an enhanced weapon. We're not exactly sure on that. there seems to be something, right? Because we do see the green arrows sometimes on certain things. It's very strange, Davlo, but let me tell you this. The enhanced system does actually work if you have a certain a certain armor type, right? You can enhance your armors so that your armors will take less damage from the things that are supposed to kill your armor type. So, I mean, that's okay, I guess.